But it's unfortunately something that we're talking about human rights, something that you would hope would be granted, like from the moment someone's born. It's gonna take time and it's gonna get exhausting, unfortunately, like it's been the last couple of weeks. There's
Ah,
unfortunately. I said unfortunately too many times in that sentence because that's where we are. The recording's in progress.
the recording is in progress. Hi.
Hi, for people watching. Hannah has an adorable new addition.
It's been a hot second since we've done this because we've had so many not distractions, but disruptions.
Disruptions. Yes, life has been very disruptive the last couple of weeks.
Like, I can't even.
I have no idea how this recording is going to go because clearly the universe was against us talking about this.
Like, whenever we are talking about anger and allyship, like, honestly, like, what even son of a gentrifier is even supposed to be happening with this? Like, not only has like July 4th happened, which I went to an anti-July 4th. I brought Rigby. She was the center of attention, not America. Like, not only have like all of these things happened, but like we also had a huge another mass shooting. What else has happened? Police have shot and killed an unarmed 25-year-old Black man. Let's see.
Roe v. Wade has been overturned.
Roe v. Wade has been overturned. And I heard one state lawmaker ask them to go for Loving versus Virginia, which allows interracial marriage. And I'm sitting there thinking, like, genuinely,
it's been
a lot.
A lot has happened. A lot has happened. I'm curious if petting your dog's gonna help with this conversation. I feel like it's gonna be very soothing for you.
It's either going to be soothing or she's going to hate me after this because I am clutching her very, very tightly.
It's been exhausting and really tough, I would say, the last couple of weeks.
Like, how have you been? How are you checking in on your allies, on your people, on like your family, your friends, everyone? What have you been doing to take care of yourself and yours?
Yeah, such an important question, especially in these times. I try to practice good self-care techniques consistently, so in that way when things are bad, I don't like stray from my schedule, so then I'm always like pretty even. So I walk daily. There's like this nature trail by my house. I'm super fortunate. So I walk there. I know, I'm so lucky. And then I take a nap every day, about 15 minutes, just like cannot do without my nap. And then what else do? I do work out twice. I try to go twice a week, but most of the time it's once a week. And that helps. Just there's nothing like gasping for air to remember like what's really, really important and to clear my mind. So I think those are my main ways of self-care. And I just try to consistently do that. So in that way, when things are bad, I'm not like without anything to do. What about you? What have you been doing?
I go to very dark places and go to extremes if I get out of my routine. And unfortunately, I did get out of my routine and ended up with this.
What's your typical routine?
I try to cycle 3 times a week. Okay, sorry, that was a mosquito. I try to cycle 3 times a week. I play volleyball once a week. I try to keep my space clean. Which is nearly impossible now with an infant. I try to cook for myself, which that does not work out because I love Wendy's too much. Like right now it's been getting new normal. with this one.
Yes. I imagine your sweet, sweet puppy has changed everything.
Are you gonna chew the mic? I mean, it's valid. I wanted to chew the mic so many times. Like I have, oh gosh. Yes. So like I have had a like it's like my anxiety is now hyper focused on her instead of existential crises.
Okay.
So
I'm curious if that's like better.
not
Is that
sure.
even like a good question?
I'm not sure yet because the first 3 nights in a row, I stayed up watching her breathe because I Googled sudden infant death syndrome for puppies.
That's terrifying.
Yeah.
I listen to the podcast that I talked about all the time, Snacks, Sam Mewis,
Uh-huh.
a more anxious person as well. And she has a dog and she talks about like how much peace that her dog brings her. And I can see that somewhat being the same for you, how helpful they will be.
Once we get out of this adjustment phase, and once I'm pretty positive I'm not going to accidentally kill her, we're good.
Okay.
We're good.
I think that's fair. But speaking of positive things, we could do our Fangirl 5. We haven't done that in a second.
Yes. Fangirl 5. Oh, snap. Yes. Okay, you go first.
Okay, I'll go. My Fangirl 5 for this week is Janae Aiko. She is a singer. I love her. She's one of my favorite artists, and she's pregnant. Her and her longtime partner, Big Sean, who is an amazing rapper, are expecting their first child together, and I'm just so pumped. And so definitely wanted to shout her out. She's got great music. Check her out. I could say, do I have a favorite song by her? Probably New Balance, but she's got some incredible hits. So check her out if you have not yet. What about you? Who's your Fangirl 5?
Okay, you're gonna think I'm insane, but I'm actually going to. I don't want to mispronounce her name. Okay, it's Michaela Coel.
Oh, okay.
So Michaela Coel created. She is a writer. She is an actress. She is an activist. I hope I'm not misgendering her. Them. Anyways, gosh. So Chewing Gum is a TV show, and it just is a really good commentary on the times, on what's going on. And the reason I'm fangirl 5ing, because I've seen commercials for this show and I've seen advertisements, but they showed a scene with Jonathan Bailey, who was in Bridgerton, acting with Michaela, and Michaela is Black and Jonathan Bailey is a white British dude, and he was talking about how he was like, I've never been with a woman of color before. And then the commentary of the show was just like, okay, you're being weird. Like, you are weird. And like he said, like the classic, like, no, it's positive racism. I think you're really hot. And we were just like, the fact that like artists and writers can take absurd, like small moments like that and just put it into art and then take it a step further. Like, I saw this advertisement on Facebook, and it's probably going to advertise to me again because everyone's listening. But yeah. So Michaela Coel is my fangirl 5 today.
Okay, yeah, I'll try to find the link for that ad and put it in the description. I love that. I love when it's so practical and we can, well, you hate that you can relate to that, but I love that they brought attention to that.
Yeah, exactly. That's why I like TV writers of color, because like Michaela, Amber Raffin, Mindy Kaling, like women in writers' rooms really are able to show so many authentic sides of life that you just don't get when there is no diversity in your writer's room.
Yes, I agree. It's so important. It's a game changer.
Yeah.
I'll just add Issa Rae into that because I love her.
Yes. Oh my gosh. What was Issa Rae's movie? The one where she was on a date and they like ran over a guy and they were just like, I don't think that dude was a cop. And then like they're being framed for murder the entire time.
No, I don't know it. It sounds just like her though.
But
That's
it's funny. It is funny. Oh, that kind of made my day. It's been a long day. It's been a long week. It's been a long couple of weeks.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Oh, like how long has it been since SCOTUS?
Yeah, they're trying to actively ruin our lives like before our eyes. It's been I agree with you. It's been, there's a song that I was listening to and it's like, has it been a hard week? Has it been a hard life? Like, it has.
I am very much over living through historical times. I don't like it here.
Yeah, I would love to be bored for like a second. Just a second. It would be so nice.
I know, right? Just so we are talking about gosh, allies, anger and accomplices, and like really how poignant that this was written in 2020 and this is happening now. I mean, people saw SCOTUS like the writing on the wall for a while, but I don't think people really understood like the weight that SCOTUS carried.
Yes. And I can't think of a time in our lifetimes, at least, when it was as pressing as it is now. It kind of feels similar to when Trump was elected. It's just that force of like, oh, this is the power that this position holds. And we're seeing that, unfortunately, we're seeing the negative side of that.
Exactly. Did you go to any protests?
I did not. I did watch a lot of videos of people who went to protest. Did you?
I went to one Bands Off Our Bodies protest. And my picket sign said adopted and pro-choice.
Okay.
So like adoptees, we are sick of people using our adoption story and our circumstances and how our families were created. We're sick of that being people's political agenda for anti-abortion, because adoption and abortion are not the same issue. And people keep assuming that they are. So adoptees are out here screaming they're not. So kindly go over there.
Yeah. Kindly stop saying that. It's wild to me. I mean, the more I think about that argument, no, like people need to have kids because there are families who want to like, there are families that want that kid if like the biological family is not able to support them for whatever reason. It's so messed up, the logic even in that. So you want someone to be pregnant for 9 months to then give up that baby. Like that's the intent the entire time? What?
The fact that Justice Alito referenced on page 43 of the leaked decision that adoptees were a domestic supply of infants.
It's just, words are failing me. It's wow.
And whenever we talk about like issues like a supply, quote unquote, supply of infants, the adoption industry is a multi-million for-profit industry, both private and public. It gets public subsidies. It gets all of these like tax write-offs. And then on top of that, you still have programs that will, get this, price children by race.
And yeah, all of this goes into what I would hope would be so obvious of why this is a flawed argument and one that should not be made.
Like, can we not? Can we not? Like, my main question for you, as someone that considers themselves an activist, someone that is a co-creator of the Anti-Racist Book Club, as someone who has a degree in social work,
Mhm.
like, what do you look for in an ally?
Oh, that's a fantastic question. I think first things first, someone who listens. Hmm. I think someone who is not afraid to say or like to call out people. I think listening is really important because if I'm saying something about my experience, you're not like talking over me or you're not trying to correct me talking about my experience. That's an automatic no. But then certainly like if can I trust when I'm not in the room, can I trust that your circle is also one that you're not afraid to call out if they say something that's racist or sexist
Mm.
or homophobic? And I think probably because I like list of three, someone who just continues to learn. I mean, and I try to do those things as an ally to communities I'm not a part of. What about you? What are you looking for?
I think one of the biggest things, because I try to do this in my own allyship and accompliship,
Let's
accomplice.
go with it. Yeah, I'm fine with that.
I'm tired. A thing that I look for in myself is, am I calling myself out?
Hmm.
Like, am I calling myself out? Am I keeping myself in check? Am I in community with people who will keep me in check?
Mm,
So I would hope that I can find similar circumstances with the people I would consider my allies.
okay.
And like everything that you said on top of that, the listening, are they keeping their community in check? Are they also like someone that you can trust whenever you're not in the room? Is it beyond performance ship?
Yeah, I think it's just so important that I can trust. And I mean, I do this too. Like people, my good friends, my family, they all know. Like if you say something, I'm gonna be kind and be like, because I don't want to like berate you. I want you to learn from it. I want it to be a learning experience and be like, that's not okay to say. And
Mhm.
so I don't think, and now that I do it, I understand the importance of it. So just making sure that that is what I'm surrounded by, certainly. But I agree, I can't call people out if I don't keep myself in check and make sure that I'm continuing to learn and continuing to understand my implicit biases and things of that nature.
Mm. Like, we've had conversations definitely in school about allies versus accomplices. So
Mhm.
like, can you like walk me through like what that means to you? Because I feel like for me, allies and accomplices are very hand in hand, even though I've heard the argument that accomplices are more to be desired for the anti-racist and the anti-misogynist, I guess, than an ally. I've seen the bumper stickers, the time for allyship is over.
Mm. I yes, I will say the first time I've ever heard of anything past allyship, and so in this case, accomplices was in this book. Allyship was all I knew before. I like specifically in this chapter with Mickey Kendall. I like how she takes it further because there's just this cultural understanding that she goes so deeply into about if you're oh, but like I'm an ally. And then that just erases all the racist, sexist, all of the is things that you say. And so I like that there's a step above. I think it's very similar to being anti-racist. There's being not racist, which I don't think is the same as being an ally. But then there's being anti-racist, which I think is getting at the same point as being an accomplice. I love also accomplice because it makes me think of like two kids who are getting in trouble together.
Oh,
I
I was
just love
thinking,
that.
I was thinking going full Robin Hood, robbing the rich to feed the poor type of a situation. Like, this is an accomplice and we're gonna go rob a bank. Not really. I'm not gonna actually rob a bank. Just putting that out there. I don't know how to rob a bank. I'm too stupid to do that. Um, but
But the overall point.
The overall point is that an ally can be like, hey, I'm going to sit with you in this and I empathize. An accomplice is going to be like, okay, we're going to sit with you, but also you're taking the lead and we will support you getting out of the sitting phase too. Like not just sitting in with you and feeling all of that, which is important, but also helping support you and letting you be the one to stand up first.
Yeah, it feels like an ally, there's a limit to what an ally can do, whereas accomplice is there till the very end of the fight, which I appreciate. It's something just to continue to work towards, something that I think will be a major asset in all of the fights against all types of injustice and oppression.
And it feels like the fight is just, it's so hard right now. Everything just feels so hard right now. I'm exhausted. I straight up got a puppy.
Yeah, it's tough. I mean, there's no other way to say it. It's just, and I mean, I think from what I've learned about community organizing and grassroots organizations is it takes time and it's an emotional process, which is unfortunate, but this is a part of the experience of the fight.
Yeah. Like I love how Kendall takes it that much further in talking about how anger is a very significant element to allyship and being an accomplice, because I feel like if you say ally and you're still like playing on those respectability politics, there's anger, but it's internalized. There's no externalized anger. Whereas anger being the motivator to go protest, anger being the motivator to call your legislator, to donate to grassroots organizations. Anger, that's when the action comes in.
Yeah, I think she did a really good job explaining that. And on the flip side, what I got from her talking about that is that allies, in the name of allyship, they ask that that anger be somehow turned into empathy for people who don't experience what we experience. It's like, please be patient. And what I really got from that was how allyship has become so much more about the people who are oppressing as opposed to people who are being oppressed. And so I'm really thankful she brought up that point. It was a thinker.
Oh, snap. Put that one in a clip. I love that one. I love it. Yes. Allyship becomes more of something about the oppressor saying, look how good I am, look at what I've done, rather than being an accomplice is about the oppressed party.
Yeah, love it. Well, hate that that's the case, but love that wording.
Just all the ah
I think it was a great like ending chapter. We didn't announce that, but this is the last chapter of this fantastic book that I'm so sad it's gonna end. But it's similar to Emmanuel Acho's Conversations, how it was like a call to action. I thought this was fantastically written and a call to action. Awesome.
Especially in these trying times. It's literally we're fine. Everything is fine.
I feel like anger is something that we talked about before in a different context, where people try to dismiss it because they can't control it or they don't necessarily understand it. It's not easy to understand, but there's certainly a reason we feel it. It can be, I mean, it doesn't have to be productive. It's a feeling that we have, but it certainly can be used for production as well.
Yes. I trapped her. And just like, I don't know, I started going to protests during the Black Lives Matter movement. And like Black Lives Matter has its grassroots in 2014 when we were in college. So like I didn't go to those protests. I didn't but I knew about Ferguson. I didn't go I didn't participate in protests until my first one, which was in Times Square, actually in the summer of 2020. And so like I feel like people would always often talk about how like the protests were like disruptive, they were destructive. They would talk about how to properly protest, and people are just like, no protest has ever been a proper protest. That's not a thing, and it hasn't existed. And real change has actually come about through that kind of discourse. Like
just,
yeah,
as a polite way to protest. I feel like we've definitely discussed this, but like, who are you to say that is oppressive in nature, thinking you could tell people how to stand up against oppression? Like, is there a correct way to do it? Isn't that like the foundation of oppression? Like,
just that
wild.
entire mentality is the only mentality that can come from an oppressor. Nails.
The sweet puppy is bringing so much joy.
She is, and her nails, I need to clip them. I only cut the tops last night and she started crying. Gonna throw up on me? Oh, did you fart? I don't know. We were discussing this earlier in our text messages. So part of being a dog parent is that you have to expose them to all types of people whenever they are young, so that they are the most accepting types of people. And then I was curious if dogs could be racist, and apparently they can be.
Oh yeah.
If you don't expose them to people of color, if you don't expose them to people who utilize equipment for their disabilities, if you don't expose them to like other, just all types of situations, dogs can be racist, ableist, anyist. It's kind of weird.
It just speaks to the importance of diversity within your circle. And it's not just for humans, it's just in general, all species. Diversity is absolutely key.
Exactly. And knowing that it is your responsibility as that dog's owner and that dog's guide and that dog's like trainer, basically, knowing that you are responsible on whether or not this dog attacks like a person of color. Because they like, it's not the dog's fault. Yeah.
You have to intentionally, that full circle moment, you have to intentionally do the work.
Yeah. And it's just like a child. You have to raise your child to be anti-racist.
What you do. Oh my gosh, speaking of this, Ibram Kendi, I don't know if you saw his clip. I will absolutely. This is still a Ibram Kendi fan podcast.
Yes.
We call it anti-racist, but come on. He talks about the pushback of the critical race theory in school curriculums. And so, the biggest argument is that kids will hate white people because of critical race theory. And he goes, well, that's just, this is not exactly what he says, but that's just assuming that the kids will connect with the slave owners. He's like, why can't they connect with abolitionists? And I was just like, this man is so amazing.
Oh yeah. So I was in history class and people were talking about genealogy and like making jokes about like, oh yeah, your family probably owned slaves. And I'm sitting there as like a 10th grader going like, this isn't that okay.
Right. That's quite a joke to make.
And if that is allowed in our public schools now, and critical race theory is not.
Right. Right. Yeah, I like his argument because I learned minimum, right, about slavery and maybe like one or two abolitionists, but like I didn't hate white people as a result of it. So why would you think that if we taught history the correct way? I mean, their arguments never built on logic, but I like that he brought that up because I mean, yeah, if you learn about the history of this country, you'll learn about abolitionists. And why was the assumption that kids would automatically like it's like abolitionists were looked over. Yes, there were slave owners, but there were abolitionists and kids can equally connect, hopefully would connect more with abolitionists and then we'll have a better society. We'll have a better country if we learn more about people who fought against injustice, especially if it wasn't for people that they connected with people they identified with. I mean, imagine the society we would have if that was like the baseline of this is what a good person is.
Also, the fact that like they're just automatically assuming someone's gonna connect with a slave owner.
Hmm.
You're not giving that child much credit.
Right, that's fair.
I mean, the kid, assuming the kid is white that they are talking about, like worried about learning critical race theory, assuming this kid is white and thinking, oh, they'll connect with the slave owner. That's really discrediting the emotional capacity of the emotional compassion and compassion capacity of this child.
Mm.
And also, what does that say about the parents? Sheesh.
Yeah, it's flawed at the very least.
I love the argument for critical race theory when people say that this is too much for white kids to learn about like racism and discrimination, where I forgot who quoted it, but they were just like, it shows like the fact that you're saying that is telling the children of color what children deserve to be protected.
Mm. Yeah, I was about to bring this brings it full circle to allies where we're putting the feelings of white kids above the feelings of any other child. It's heartbreaking. And it further shows why we need critical race theory to be taught. And then also it's a blatant example of what happens every single day.
Like, I cannot understand the mentality of how some people are like, this country's going against white people now, they're anti-whites, and I'm like, no, this is one of probably the most pro-white countries in the world.
Yeah, you guys, white people, you're set. You have nothing to worry about.
Y'all are fine.
And a loss of privilege is not oppression.
Mm-mm.
I don't know if we need to say that more, but just because your desires are put over my needs a little less, because things are not the way they should be. In no way does that mean you're being replaced. In no way does that mean you're being hated by every single person. And then also, going back to the accomplices, your feelings are not more important than my needs. They're just not.
Literal feelings being more important than actual lives. People need to just I'm not gonna start cussing, but like seriously, like whenever someone puts their emotions over an actual human life, screw that.
Which is like the main argument against any type of improvement in society and improvement in any type of equity. It's from what I've seen, it's mostly feelings.
And of course, like when you've never, like your population, your community, your group of people has never been oppressed, like, of course, feeling uncomfortable is going to feel like oppression.
Yes.
She's fine.
She's too quiet.
I know. I'm just like, too quiet. Okay, she's chewing on her unicorn. It's okay.
I think one thing that like has circled in my mind from this chapter is Mickey Kendall talks about how the white feminist movement is lying to themselves. It's not about equity for women. It's about equity for white women and no one else. And I don't know what it was about what we were just talking about that made me think about that, but that has been circling in my mind this entire time. It is terrifying to think, because I mean, I identify as a feminist, But it's terrifying to think that the feminist movement as a whole is just focused on white women, because we know if white women have some form of equity, some form of power, that does not mean that all women, women of color, non-binary people have that same kind of power. And so for me to support a movement that is not even supporting me is actually wild to me.
What is it? It was like the definition of insanity is like supporting or trying something over and over again and expecting different results when it's always the same result or something like that. So like whenever, it's just wild thinking, okay, when we talk about supporting feminist movements, but then we don't support all femmes, all of us. If there is no intersectionality in your feminism is trash.
Yes.
Like, period.
Yes, that end of statement, that is wow. It is wild. It's just a thinker. It's something just that's ran through my head and not exactly sure where to go from here.
I know, right? It's just, and where do we go from here? Because I feel like we've set literally the clock and society back about 80 years now at this point. Like once they come for Loving in Virginia, which I'm pretty sure happened. I'm looking this up. Don't misquote me. I'm not misquoting this. It was in 1967. Oh my gosh. So it was civil, it was like in the middle of civil rights movement, pre-voting rights.
Wow. Wow.
My parents were alive.
My granddad was 17.
I know that we talk about this all the time. I think my dad and your grandpa are the same age, first of all.
Okay.
But second of all, because I think my dad was 17 too, because he was 18 or 19 in 1969. But I can't help but think about this one meme where they were just like, you should get over like discrimination and racism, and then they were like, are you talking about my grandma? You can go talk to her right now. She remembers having to deal with it.
Yeah.
And like having white parents and knowing that my parents are on the other side of that. It's literally like knowing that Emmett Till would have been 10 years older than my dad.
Yeah.
Knowing that that happened so recent in history, and we are still having these same issues of racism, racial bias, police brutality. It's just,
yeah.
Oh, did you see that? Did you see that there was a police department that got in trouble for using stock images of Black men with guns as target practice?
Really? No, I didn't see that. It's a whole system, which is it's so many things, but specifically it's overwhelming, because I would love to just do one thing and then everything magically be the way it should, but it's going to take a collective effort, and there certainly are people doing the work. But it's unfortunately something that we're talking about, human rights, something that you would hope would be granted like from the moment someone's born. It's going to take time, and it's going to get exhausting, unfortunately, like it's been the last couple of weeks. Unfortunately. I said unfortunately too many times in that sentence, because that's where we are.
Go get an emotional support animal like mine. I don't know if I'm going to have her certified as an ESA yet. I have no clue. I have severe depression and anxiety, so she might cure something, but she's also the source of a lot of my anxiety right now.
Some newfound. It'll certainly help, as you said in the beginning, when you have a routine.
Like, where to go from here?
Yeah, that was a great question that neither of us have answered yet.
I feel like at the end of the book, we're always going like, where do we go from here? What's the action plan? And literally like maybe 2 weeks later, we have another right stripped away, another civil right stripped away. And then it's just like constantly like, it's like racism is the ocean and we're beating it with a crowbar.
Mm-hmm.
We don't have a bucket. We have a crowbar.
Mm-hmm. I think it starts with, us people of color, us women, us people who our rights are they're already in question and currently rapidly being taken away. We have to take care of ourselves. Super, super cliche, but we have to like check in on your people, make sure you're okay, do what you need to do to be okay. And then, I mean, speaking directly from this chapter, allies, accomplices have to certainly step up and just understand how exhausting and how hurtful this is. And then, of course, there's action. So you can vote, but that's not the only thing. Get out in the streets and protest and sign up for grassroots organizations who are doing the work, because there always is one.
There's strength in numbers, but we are in survival mode right now.
Yes.
So like if I go through a day where I sleep all day, that A is taking care of myself, and B, I am in survival mode.
Yes.
It's hard. It is extremely hard. So like not feeling like, oh my gosh, I could do more, I should do more, like putting all of that weight on yourself and all of these expectations when you have community to lift you up when you are not able to. Oh my gosh. That is the important thing. Okay, I can see her now. She is in my line of vision. And I can't wait for you to meet her tomorrow.
I'll be in New York tomorrow. That's so exciting. Yes, I'm super psyched. But I agree with you. Sometimes just like getting out of bed is it's an accomplishment, because I think taking care of ourselves and doing the best we can looks different every day.
It does. My gosh.
This was fun.
This was fun. And this was such an interesting 6 months.
It's been, I mean, I vote we take a break after this. So are there any reflections that you wanted to highlight from this season?
So a reflection from this season. A lot of it was like learning the process. Like I did not understand how integral Roe v. Wade was to so many of our civil rights and so many of our inalienable.
It's, I know what you mean.
Basic human rights. And the fact that like this term, the Supreme Court has literally just gone after so much and so little. They have like single-handedly like uprooted almost 80 years of human rights. It's wild. That's my reflection. What about you?
This is not a reflection. I'm curious how this is going to work out, because I feel like there's got to be some type of consequence for 3 Supreme Court justices lying under oath. Can we just lie under oath now? Is that a thing? I'm just curious, because they all 3 said, oh, Roe v. Wade is codified. It's law. Like, I'm not going to touch that. And here we are. So, but reflections, I'll just leave that out in the air for people to think about. I think there should be consequences, but that's just me. I just really enjoyed our books. They've been really informative, very different from each other. Mickey Kendall has really brought some things to my attention that I need to work on and pay attention to and look deeper into. And I definitely love this Fangirl 5. It's a positive light. I'm really glad that was introduced.
Yeah,
It's been a great season.
it has been. Did you read the Brittany Griner letter?
Mm-hmm.
That's heartbreaking. We have Supreme Court Justice Ketanji Brown Jackson, who is going to help fix this because Clarence Thomas can go get diarrhea.
It's just such a like wonderful, it's not too serious where you'd worry, but it's serious enough to understand the contempt that we have for him. You know, I think it's a perfect middle ground.
Go eat some bad sushi.
Is she in office now? Is she actually
she's officially in office? So there's some work to be done.
Wow, yeah, that was heartbreaking to hear about Brittany Griner, and every single day it's like, bring her home, man. Oh my gosh. I'll link the petition again for people. You can sign it. We need to bring her home. And there are other American captives there too that certainly should be home.
The fact that like also just like for me having the connection of the alma mater from Brittany Griner, it's been heartbreaking for me because like I didn't hate my school, but I also wasn't the biggest fan of Baylor University. And the fact that I haven't seen anything that this school has done to show even a lick of support.
It's inexcusable. Especially, I mean, think about the symbol she is as an alum of Baylor and what I imagine she's done for the school. She
brought in millions. She brought in millions. Everyone loved her until like she came out, which is another issue. Right?
Rigby agrees. This is our anti-racist dog, everyone.
This is our anti-racist feminist dog. She was born in West Virginia, so we have some work to do.
Oh my god. That's funny. But now she's in New York, so.
She is. She's a New York puppy. Yeah. Well, thank you so much for coming on this journey. Maybe we'll do a bonus episode when we're actually in the same room together.
Yes. And this has been fun. I so look forward to getting on that plane tomorrow and landing in one of my favorite cities. It's going to be good.
We're going to see all the people, eat all the food. Caroline's having a housewarming party on Saturday and we're going.
Fun.
Yeah, I told them all at our America's Birthday Sucks party that you were coming up and everyone's excited. Emma, Caroline, all of them.
It'll be a reunion. Oh, for all the people who are listening, you are now included. So we'll have to post some pictures so you can see. It's going to be good people. It's going to be so much fun.
Yes. And I've already texted Ben Drake. He hasn't answered.
Ben Drake. Ben Drake. It's got to be the trio. I feel like we're officially a trio.
We are. It's got to be. It's got to be Ben Drake. We'll get a hold of him. But thank you again so much for another amazing book. This was book number 4.
That's so wild.
We did it. We're still doing it.
And this went well, even though the universe was like clearly against this.
I know, right? Well, I will see you tomorrow. I'm so excited.
Yes. Thank you so much for this space. I look forward to the future.
Thank you.
Bye.
Hannah here. Just thank you so much for supporting and listening to our podcast. We have had so many fun conversations and a lot of hard conversations too, but it's been such a blast. So excited to see what comes next.